What they're doing to our children and to our country is
an act of child abuse. Very simple.
With the military, we're ending woke immediately. You know, I ended woke. Totally.
Mentally ill in many cases. They're sick.
You can't teach the Bible, but you can teach children that America is evil and that men can get pregnant.
Everything woke turns to
In a world where political correctness seems to dominate every conversation, one man has consistently stood his ground and refused to back down. Donald Trump. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying that he's never afraid to speak his mind, especially when it comes to his war against woke culture. From his rallies to interviews, Trump has taken every opportunity to call out the woke movement for what he sees it as. In this video, we're counting down moments where Trump absolutely destroyed woke ideologies. At one of his rallies, he took to the stage to express just how much he despises it. His raw, unfiltered delivery made it clear that he sees woke culture as a major issue, one that he's ready to take on head first.
You know, I met a general. His name was General Kane. I don't even know. Maybe he's not even on my side. Who the hell knows with these generals? You know, when I get through with this guy, Milley, I mean, how about Milley? Remember? Remember when I walked to the church, proudly walked to the church, that the protesters, they tried to burn it down, but I walked to the church, protesters out there, and Milley was walking with me. And the next day, the radical left media starts calling, you shouldn't have walked, you shouldn't have walked. Instead of saying, I'm proud to walk with my president, not because it's me, because of the office. Instead of saying that, he wanted to apologize for walking with the president of the United States. And I said, this guy doesn't have what it takes. And you're seeing that now because the worst decisions I've ever seen. That's, again, why I put the patent. I just remembered it as I was coming over here. I said, get that clip quickly. The people of Alabama understand that clip. Do you think that? Let me ask you, do you think that General Patton was woke? I don't think so. What do you think, Mike? Mike, was he woke? I don't think so. I don't think he was too woke. He was the exact opposite. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
But Trump didn't stop there. In another speech, he laid out a more structured plan, diving deeper into how he wants to cleanse both the education system and the military of woke doctrines. Trump highlighted how critical it is to remove woke influence if America is to retain its strength and unity.
Hello.
Hi, welcome, President Trump.
Thank you.
Okay, so you kind of already answered my question a little bit, but my question was, when you become president again, what would the first thing you'll do to fix our current school system and even our current military that's only focusing on teaching woke gender ideology over learning the basics of life and history and protecting us?
So, a good question. Some of it partially answered, but not all. With the military, we're ending woke immediately. You know, I ended woke, totally. And then they, in their first week, they reestablished it. It's crazy. They pay instructors hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It literally, literally, they want our military to be woke. And it's just not going to happen. You read in Hawaii where they had the horrible fire where they have people going there. And before they bring them on board, they have to study woke for a week. Can you believe this? In other words, everyone's wanting to get back to their home, finding the bodies. It was such a tragedy. You don't read about it too much anymore, but hell is going on over there. And they want to give them classes in essentially wokeness. Can you believe? So, you know, you've seen it. Well, we'll end that very quickly. We will, with the school, I think the schools are very important. We're going to bring our education department back. Now, if you look at our education, we pay more per pupil than any country in the world by 3 times. And yet we're at the bottom of the list. We have a bad, very bad. If a place like Iowa, as an example, if you could run your own and we give you just a percentage of the money, because you wouldn't need nearly the money that they waste in Washington. Number one, you love your students, you want your students, you know your students. The parents will be involved. That's the other thing. We're going to let the parents, because some of these school boards have become tyrannical. They've been horrible.
Next up, Trump took a brutal swipe at multinational corporations that have embraced woke culture. He labeled their strategies as misguided and weak.
Our movement must continue to pursue a populist, nationalist, economic agenda that puts working families before globalist politicians and woke multinational corporations who are mentally ill in many cases. They're sick. What are they doing?
When asked the increasingly popular question, who is a woman, Trump's response was both sharp and direct. He cut through the political correctness surrounding the topic, offering an answer that left little room for debate, further cementing his stance against the gender politics of the woke movement.
One of the big questions being put to lots of politicians right now is, what is a woman?
I'm not going to respond to the question, but a woman is somebody that swims at a certain time and doesn't get beaten by 38 seconds by somebody that wasn't even a good swimmer as a man.
In another fiery moment, Trump turned his attention to what he perceives as the indoctrination of children by woke agenda pushers. He called out the absurdity of their attempts to influence young minds, emphasizing how dangerous it is to impose such radical views on the nation's youth. His frustration was palpable as he laid bare his commitment to protecting children from what he calls the woke agenda's harmful influence.
You can't teach the Bible, but you can teach children that America is evil and that men can get pregnant. A man can get pregnant. Can't even talk about the Bible. You would not trust these people to babysit your children for 20 minutes. And why should we then let them educate millions of American students 6 hours a day, year after year after year? Whatever it takes, the conservative movement must liberate America's children from the captivity of these Marxist teachers' unions. What they're doing to our children and to our country is incredible.
Expanding on his views about children, Trump released a scathing critique of what he referred to as the left-wing gender insanity. His strong stance here resonated with many in the audience who cheered in agreement.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end.
In one memorable interview, a female journalist tried to challenge Trump over one of his claims. Unfortunately for her, she hadn't done her homework. As she attempted to call him out, Trump calmly turned the tables, leaving her visibly flustered. It was a moment of pure humiliation for the journalist, and Trump made sure to capitalize on it, further solidifying his dominance in the exchange.
Illegal immigrants are causing tremendous crime.
Immigrants commit less crime than U.S.-born citizens.
Illegal immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants. I'm an immigrant. You're an immigrant. We're all immigrants.
The Pew Research says that there are, for immigrants on the whole,
Come on, try getting it out. Try getting it out.
I'll get it out.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this on television, but you don't even know what you're talking about. Try getting it out. Go ahead. You're a very naive person.
Instead of getting caught up in her verbal trap, Trump sidestepped her tactics with ease, leaving her flustered and unprepared to handle his smooth evasion.
Do you have a gun?
I have a license to have a gun. Yes, I do.
Do you own one?
Yes, I do.
Do you use it? Gun range?
It's none of your business. It's really none of your business. I have a license to have a gun.
Gun control?
What are you talking about?
Or
you
stronger background checks.
Yes, I have a gun. Excuse me. Yes, I have a gun, and yes, I have a permit to have a gun.
Stronger background checks. What about that? Is there any steps that you would take to make it harder to get a gun in this country?
The problem is, once you get into that, you start getting into a situation, the slippery slope, where all of a sudden you're going to really violate the Second Amendment. I don't want to do anything to violate the Second Amendment. To me, the Second Amendment is very important.
During yet another heated interview, Trump reiterated his stance on immigration, making it clear that he's not against immigrants, but against the illegal process many use to enter the U.S. However, the reporter seemed intent on twisting his words, trying to frame him as anti-immigrant. But Trump didn't back down, defending his position and shutting down the reporter's attempts to portray him in a negative light.
Challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants
in
this election to try to keep them?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
That's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual. It happened a few days ago, and
they're hundreds of miles away. Though they're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly. I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President.
Trump also took aim at the 2024 Olympics, which he believes were overrun with woke activities. He voiced his disapproval, calling out the event for prioritizing social agendas over athletic excellence. It was a brief but scathing criticism, with Trump once again making it clear that he's not here for the woke movement infiltrating every aspect of life.
Have you watched any of the Olympics?
I thought that the opening ceremony was a disgrace, actually. I thought it was a disgrace.
the mocking of the Last Supper.
I thought it was
Catholics and Christians across the globe are outraged.
I mean, they can do certain things. I thought it was terrible.
Can you say at the next Olympics, if you're president, you'll have enough influence on the organizers that we won't be, insulting Christians?
We won't be having a Last Supper as portrayed the way they portrayed it the other night.
At a rally, a protester tried to create a gotcha moment by accusing Trump of not being a supporter of women. But Trump was ready. He responded with grace, explaining how much he values and respects women.
Maybe you can prove me wrong, but I don't think that you're a friend to women.
I knew I shouldn't have picked her. I knew I shouldn't have picked her. All right, so let me give you that answer right now. I respect women incredibly. I have had women working for me in positions that they've never worked in terms of so many different jobs. I had a woman who was in charge of the building of Trump Tower many years ago, before anybody would have even thought of it, and did a fantastic job. I have given women more opportunity than I would say virtually anybody in the construction industry. I have a daughter named Ivanka and a wife named Melania who constantly want me to talk about women's health issues because they know how I feel about it, and they know how I feel about women. I respect women. I love women. I cherish women. You know, Hillary Clinton said he shouldn't cherish. Well, I said I do cherish. I cherish women.
I want to get paid the same as a man, and I think you understand that. So if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man, and do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job. You're going to make the same if you do as good a job, and I happen to be pro-life. Okay? I'm pro-life.
In another of his speeches, Trump addressed the growing controversy surrounding men participating in women's sports. He didn't hold back, delivering a scathing critique of the situation and promising that, under his leadership, policies would be put in place to ensure fairness and integrity in women's sports.
And by the way, we should not allow men to play in women's sports. So crazy. See, it just shows you what these political geniuses, I have all these consultants, all these great... Sir, don't say that. It's very controversial. That's not written down anywhere. I just said, this might be a good time. So, they said, don't do it. And that gets the biggest hand of everything. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I tell the story of the great swimmer, great female swimmer. Wonderful woman, beautiful woman. She's been swimming for many years. She wants to break the world record. And she's at the pool, and she wants to break it by 1/8 of a second. That's like fast. And she's going to do it. She's getting ready, and she looks down. She sees all people she's been competing with for years because they rise to the top. And she looks over here, and she sees people. But then she looks, and they call this, they say this. She sees somebody with a man's body. That's what they do. They call it. I said, you think it's okay to say that? That's actually the expression they're using. They'll change that soon, so I have to do it quickly. I have to say it, because they're going to change it. And you know the guy. He was named Female Athlete of the Year. Did you know that? It's true. He was just named female. We're not dealing with things that are so easy here, Newt. This is a difficult, crazy world. You'd almost say, is the world going crazy? Because 99% of the things I'm saying are common sense. But she looks over and sees her friends down there, and then she looks, and this guy is massive. He's got a wingspan. He's got arms that are 30 feet long. And I always say, and she was seriously injured during the meet because he swam so fast that he gave her major wind burn as he went by her. And she didn't break the record, but he broke the record that day. You know what the number was? 38 seconds. So she wanted to break it by 1/8 of a second. And he broke it by 38 seconds.
or the weightlifter. I think it was like 218 pounds. I know, that's a lot. I can't lift it. I don't know who can. Any of our ex-Trump people, they're all Trump people. Kevin's saying he can lift it. I don't know about that, Kevin, but that's a lot. 218 pounds, and she got over that weight, and she was going to break it. They put a half an ounce here, half little tiny ring on top of these big barbells, dumbbells. Then they go, and she went like this, and she got it break. Stood for 11 years. And her mother and father are screaming, "You got it! You got it, darling. I'm so proud of my girl." Well, she couldn't do it. And then this guy comes along. He's named Dallas. And he looks at the weight. World record, world record. We could have put another couple of 100 pounds on. I think he would have lifted it. It's so disrespectful to women. And they say it's politically incorrect. It's so disrespectful to women. So horrible. So unfair. It's so unfair. And I'll tell you what, if I were ever, I'd be the greatest women's basketball coach it is. Because I don't like LeBron James. I like Michael Jordan much better. But I'd go up to LeBron James. It doesn't matter. I'd say, "LeBron, did you ever have any desire to be a woman? Because what I'd love you to do is star on my team that I'm building up. I will have the greatest team in history. They'll never lose. Nobody will come within 70 points of this team. Now we have to change that, and we have to make it okay to talk about it. You know, the young lady I was talking about is afraid to talk about it. She's shunned and she's canceled when she talks about it. This is crazy."
Even Trump supporters are in sync with his views on the woke agenda.
There's a lot of people talking out here about woke. Yeah. What does woke mean?
It means you're an idiot. I mean, that's what it is.
Absolutely. So if anybody's an idiot, they're woke.
If you don't know whether you're a male or female, then I'm sorry, there's an issue. All right? I'm not going to call someone that's clearly a man, a woman, because it makes them feel better. They can do whatever they want, they can think whatever they want, but they're not going to bring me into their fantasies.
What does woke mean?
Woke is like, just, I mean, when you picture someone woke, usually the blue, green-haired leftist spitting in your face or just trying to talk to them, like they get all crazy and riled up for no reason,
So it's based on how people look, or
it's not exactly based on how they look, but also like kind of like how they think as well. And certain things. Like basically like they're not like open-minded. Like if you try to like explain something to them, they'll say, "Oh, you're crazy," blah blah blah, whatever. Like they won't want to listen to like your view.
What does woke mean?
Woke means, to me, it's like policies and in the schools and companies that are forcing people basically to just go along with the tide. When a lot of people don't even want it, but they're just doing it because they don't want to fight.
So like LGBTQ rights, is that forcing people to?
Not rights. I mean, like I said, everybody should have rights, but like it's really being forced upon children in schools. Like the things that are being taught to them, like they're having like parents don't have rights anymore. Like the rights of parents are being diminished, and the rights of the government and the school system are being expanded, and so our kids are in danger. I mean, kids are getting mutilated and making choices like, if you had like a 10-year-old kid, would you let them get a tattoo? Would you be like, "Yeah, you think you should get a tattoo? Yeah, sure, get a tattoo on both arms." No, you wouldn't do that, but we're letting kids decide at like young teens and young, like 12-year-olds that change your life forever, cut off your body parts.
The gender reassignment, that's what
just all those things. Like those things should not be encouraged in kids.
Trump's relentless opposition to woke culture, with his sharp wit and his ability to dismantle those who try to challenge him, are on full display in these clips. Did Trump go too far, or is he simply saying what many are too afraid to voice? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Make sure to check out these other videos, and help us out by liking, sharing, and commenting. Thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you next time.